for tuning into this. Lisa and I are, as we talked about in a couple Facebook Lives and some other mentions, we're going to be talking about some great time management resources. She is the pro there, not me. I'm the guy who shows up to a meeting and I prepared for the meeting 30 seconds beforehand. So don't be like me. But with that out of the way, I know today that Lisa is going to share with us this really awesome technique that she shared with me a couple of years ago, which dramatically changed my time management and kind of how I approach things and just my productivity. And it is the magic of the number 168. So take it away, Lisa.
All right. So when Gabe and I spoke, we both understood that, there's a lot of things that Gabe wants to accomplish and that my clients want to accomplish. There's only so many hours in the week. And it's easy to lose sight of that and just feel like you're not getting everything done, thinking that you can expand time, but like you can't. Bottom line is there's 168 hours in the week. That is it. And so there's an exercise that I'm going to share with you in a little bit that Gabe and I walk through and that I walk through with all my clients to help put that 168 into perspective. However, before you get there, you need to know what you really want to spend your time on. You want to be really clear on your goals and your vision and your dreams, whatever word you use to mean that. But there's some people call it your big yes. Other people call it vision. Some say goals, some say dreams, whatever. The idea is you need a guiding force to help you choose the things that you do each and every day. A lot of the clients I work with come in and say, I know my goals. I have them down pat. I know my vision. However, they haven't always looked at it recently. So I recommend checking it and redefining and adjusting like about every quarter. Everyone does it the beginning of the New Year's resolutions. Everyone does it then. Yeah. But some people just take last year's and transfer them over to the following year and don't think a lot about it. Yeah. So you want to make sure that you're super clear there. And I want to give you a story about one of my clients. Her vision, empower women. That is her driving force on all the decisions that she makes. However, when she first created her vision board and created her, that's what her guiding force was. She was 20. And at that time, no kids. She's 20, no kids, no family. And could travel the world. And so the way that she impacted the lives of women was from the international stage. Now she's 45, has kids, things have changed. And so her vision of empower women had stayed the same, but she was feeling frustrated because the activities that she was choosing, she was feeling this conflict because she was choosing the same types of activities that she had done in the past, but it didn't fit in her life anymore. She didn't want to travel internationally. She wanted to be home. And so looking back at it, she was able to redefine. So the point to that story is whenever you've done your last time you sat and looked and have done your vision and your goals and your dreams, revisit it again with the story in mind and think about where you are at this stage in your life.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. Because like you said, in her case, her vision or her kind of core mission didn't change, but the mode of getting there or the actual day-to-day task is completely different. And I think sometimes there's some things that you should probably consistently do every day, all the time, your entire life. But those are actually, not that common compared to like, you may need to do something for a season. And like Rachel and I just bought a new business. And so I'm going to be focusing, a bunch of energy and time into it, which means other things have to be reprioritized. My mission of empowering entrepreneurs and obviously growing the business and serving and supporting my family hasn't changed. Like that'll never change. That's definitely one of my core missions, like you said. But how I do that is going to be drastically different through the end of the year this year, as it's going to be, like you said, first of the year or middle of next summer. I'm going to be on a completely different activity level. My mission stays the same, but where I'm actually investing my resources, my time, is going to be different. That's a great point.
Right. Yes. So that brings us then out of that theoretical, like what's the, the big picture stuff to how do you actually get it all done?
Yeah.
So one of the exercises that I use with my clients and that Gabe and I used is called the Magic 168. And what you do here is you list out all the areas in your life and how many hours you want to spend in each area. So how many hours do you want to sleep each night and then multiply it out for the week? How many hours does it take you to commute to where you work? Gabe and I are fortunate. It takes us about 2 minutes, if that, to commute. All right, 2 seconds is more realistic. So like our commute time's not really long. But how
walk.
I know you're like, okay, I walked across the hall.
Yeah.
How many hours do you want to spend exercising? How many hours do you want to spend with family, with your spouse or partner, community involvement, spiritual things? And then work. And I even break work out into like special projects. And what happens is you'll put out your hours of what you want. And invariably, people will come in over 168.
Right.
I recently had a client at 240 something. And I was like, oh, we're in trouble. Because, it's not like, wow. But once you know what you want and you see the data and the numbers, then you start to say, oh, I don't feel so bad that I was feeling so bad, because it's not possible. Like, I want to do 80 more hours worth of stuff or 70 more hours worth of stuff than what I really can. That gives you the data so you can take the emotion away. Mm-hmm. And so that you can start making decisions.
Yeah.
And at that point, things have to go or adjust or change. It doesn't mean you give up on your goals and your dreams. It just means you now are living in reality where we all are with 168 hours. So I know, Gabe, that you, there were a couple of things that when you did this exercise that were impactful for you.
Yeah. The one thing, well, number one, just doing it and realizing that, I think I was at 200 some hours probably when I started, and realized, unfortunately I can't create extra time. That was obviously just the basics of it. But then there was another thing that you did that was really helpful to me, because the business we just bought will be my third active business, but I usually have 2 or 3 businesses going, one primary and a couple smaller ones and things that we buy and build and sell. And I was trying to, in the beginning, I was doing it wrong, of course, because that's how I usually start out. And I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I, sleep for like 6 or 7 hours? That's usually plenty for me. And then, so say I have 18 hours left, how can I fit in everything else I need to do personally and professionally and work on all these projects at once? So like an hour for this project, an hour for this, and it was just super fragmented. And you pointed out something really, really helpful, which was, instead of just working inside the 168 for the week, then stepping back another level and looking at the month and saying, oh, well, maybe, the week 1 of the month should be primary for all, my business marketing engine, work I have to do. Week 2 can be primary for this focus, and just kind of looking at the macro again, and then kind of managing that way. So having like a focus week of the month gives me a lot of continuity, so I can sit down for days at a time and work on things, which is, is hugely productive when you batch things like that. So that was really, really helpful.
And, that solution that works for Gabe won't necessarily work for everyone. And so you need to find the pieces that work for you. For some people, they look at this and they're like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to delete out things because they're really, when I look at them in terms of value with the other things on my list, I don't want them anymore. Mm-hmm. Other people, their aha here is, holy cow, I want to do all this. How do I do it? Well, I can't do it alone. I have to delegate. I have to bring in more staff. Yeah. It varies. The solutions vary, but it starts with knowing what's there. And the other piece of this is sometimes people come back and their number's like 120 and they're like, I don't understand. There's still 48 hours left. Why do I feel like I'm not getting anything done? Yeah. But that's a whole nother challenge. But again, it's rest in data. Mm-hmm. So when this happens, it's a great time to figure out how are you actually spending your time, because maybe you think you're on your email a half hour a day and you're really on it 3 hours. So when you did the 168, you allotted, 5 hours a week for email, when in reality you're on there, closer to 20.
Yeah.
And so because we tend to underestimate how long things that we don't like to do are going to take. We were like, oh yeah, no, that's just going to take 5 minutes. Or we go flip to the other side and vastly overestimate. Just do a timer. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Like you can use rescue time on the computer. It'll tell you where your time's going for sure. But you can just set a timer to go off every hour on your phone, and you can just use a little Excel spreadsheet and just say, okay, I spent about 20 minutes in email. I spent about 30 minutes on the phone, and whatever it is, it'll give you. And don't even do it. You don't have to do it forever. A couple days gives you a good guide on what's going on. And so there's those. So there's the people who are over. There's the people who are under, and there are people who feel like they're right on, yet they still aren't getting. They still feel like crunched for time. Yeah. Either way, it's okay, because you have the data, and then you just start moving the pieces around until they work.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And the other thing of just like mapping out a plan, like it's just like budgeting financially or making financial forecasts or things like that. Even though my 168 plan, I never hit perfectly every week. I mean, I wish I did, but even though I don't hit it perfectly every week, it makes me consciously aware of my goals for my time. So work is pretty simple. I could work all day and I love working. So that's not that hard for me to like plug in and do work. But in reality, what I put first in my 168 list, because I just did this again a couple of weeks ago because I knew we were doing this, and I try to do it periodically to keep on track. Like sleep is like first on my list because like if I don't sleep, I can't function. So then my time with my family is next, above work, of course. And so that's my true priority. And it's nice to put it in order of, how I need to spend my time. So then, I want to spend a couple hours a day with Rachel. I want to spend a couple hours a day with my son. And it's nice to just have that in mind so that I don't necessarily have to know what Arliss and I are going to do today, but just purely the fact of I intentionally want to spend a couple hours a day with him changes how I think and the decisions that I make. And it doesn't let me like fill up my full schedule with work, because then I wouldn't be matching my true priorities. So just having it in mind, even just the mindset shift, makes you more intentional and then more productive, because you cut down the time. Like I don't want to work 20 hours a day. I like working, but I don't actually, I have other priorities in that. And it just helps me think better about what I'm doing.
Well, and I think the 168, I look at it kind of as a cross between, if you're familiar with David Ramsey's Financial Peace, he talks about telling your money where to go. Yeah. You decide where your money's going to go. And this is you decide where your time's going to go. So I feel like that 168 has a piece of that in it, but it also has a piece of Stephen Covey's The Big Rocks and the Little Rocks, and his, first things first, because you're being proactive on this is what I want. And you're understanding this is what I want, and here's reality.
Right.
It's not the same. So how am I going to bridge the gap?
Right. No, that's the best part about it. It really helps me, measure what I have available, but also exactly like the big rocks. You put in the big pieces first, and then all the little stuff can fill in around it. And then you're not feeling like at the end of the week either not knowing what you did all week, because I've had that happen to me plenty of times, or knowing what you did and you were super busy and you didn't accomplish anything meaningful. And then, part of happiness in life is accomplishing meaningful work. And so it's key to know what is meaningful to you and then actually dedicate time to doing it. So that's why this exercise has just been game changing for me. So
awesome. I'm glad.
Terrific. Well, what are we going to talk about next, Lisa, in our next episode? So
next, we're going to talk about distractions and how they can derail you. So you have your plan. 168 is all about having the plan and knowing how you want the world to look. But then you're in the real world, and it doesn't, as Gabe said earlier, won't always go according to your best plan. And one of those things is distractions, whether it's people or a client I spoke with yesterday. She's like, yeah, my distractions are all totally me. She's like, I am my own biggest distraction. So we're going to talk about both of those things on our next episode.
All right. Terrific. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in and for listening. And we'll be doing the next episode here shortly. As always, you can comment down below. You can reach out to Lisa or I via email or on our Facebook pages with any questions, because we're going to be answering everything that comes in. And so thanks so much for the time, Lisa. This is super valuable and super helpful to me and everybody else as well. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Steve.